Okay, so today we have Morrissey and I Am Not a Man from the album World Peace Is None of Your Business, which I love. So with this song, I'm Not a Man, grabbed my, my eyes. And I think it's been requested. I remember seeing, obviously World Peace Is None of Your Business. I feel like people have requested songs from this album before. And I've listened to one song, I think, I've done one reaction, and I really enjoyed it. And I'll also, what I've, come to see again is that, this album did pretty well, especially in the charts. So from 2014. So anyway, all that said, I'm Not a Man. I'm intrigued. I'm ready to hear this, see what Morrissey has to say. And let's get going. I'm Not a Man. The intensity is rising. The anticipation. I feel like there's going to be a big bang or crash or something.
Don Juan,
Never mind.
picaresque wife beater vest, cold hand, iceman, warring caveman. Well, if this is what it takes to describe, I'm not a man. Wheeler dealer, mover shaker, Casanova, beefaroni, but lonely.
Beefaroni.
Well, if this is what it takes to describe, I'm not a man. I'm not a man. I'm something much bigger and better than a man. Wise as, smart as, workaholic, thick-skinned, two-fisted hombre ole. Well, if these are terms you'd use to describe, oh, I'm shaking. Look at me, I'm quaking. True grit, true blue, kill crazy, so very manly of you. You are wolf down, T-bone steak.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Wolf down, cancer of the prostate. Ways to sit, and of course, ways to stand. I'm not a man, I'm not a man. No big fat locker room, hockey jock laughing. I am not a man. I'd never kill or eat an animal, and I never would destroy this planet I am on. Well, what do you think I am, a man?
Goodness. All right. Morrissey, I'm Not a Man. Coming into the song, I don't know, I had a feeling that I was, this was going to be really good. Just with a title like that, I'm Not a Man, because, there's so much, so much bull crap, BS. I don't want to say bullshit, but anyway, there's so much of that BS about, and I mean, not only just perpetrated by men, whatever, but, the whole thing about manliness, be a man, all this stuff. As somebody who, thinks that's all just garbage, the whole thing about, gotta be a man, manliness, whatever. I just love, this whole thing of him saying, I'm not a man. And I could kind of see where this would go, with, listening to so much Morrissey and Smiths and everything. I had kind of an idea. I wouldn't rate exactly where I thought it was going to go. And, I just love, I guess to start off or how the song started off, with the ambient sounds and noises, whatever. Like I said, the intensity's building, the anticipation's building, whatever. And, I was thinking, there's going to be a big crash or something. The drums are going to start this off. Their guitars can go wild and scare me. But it didn't. Morrissey kind of came in. And I love, almost the lullabyic, is that a word? I don't know. But under Morrissey's, I was gonna say breath, under Morrissey's voice, when he was just saying words, like right off the bat when he's saying, let me go back up to these lyrics, when he just starts off with Don Juan, picaresque, wife beater vest, cold hand, Iceman, Warren Caveman, and how he's just saying, and again, talking about, these are just things that people, or that are just called, with Iceman, Warren Caveman, Don Juan, things that some men are called, and how he's saying, if this is what it takes to describe, a man, then I'm not a man, wheeler dealer, mover shaker, Casanova, beefaroni. I don't know why I laughed at beefaroni. It just sounded weird because it's just like, I don't know, I didn't think he was going to say beefaroni. I don't know, it's just funny to me. And again, obviously beefaroni, I came to mind of, Morrissey's, veganism and everything like that. And obviously that would come up later as well, which I loved. And but lonely. Well, if this is what it takes to describe, I'm not a man. I'm something much bigger and better than a man. So yeah, it's just like a man. It's just like, who really, this whole thing, who wants to be a man? That whole thing of like, who gives a shit? Anyway, and then we go on, wise ass, smart ass, workaholic, thick skinned, two-fisted, hombre, ole. Well, if these are terms used to describe, oh, I'm shaking, look at me, I'm quaking. And I guess, when he's saying that, if you're describing me as this, I'm shaking, I'm quaking. He's kind of saying in a smart-ass way kind of a thing. And then true grit, true blue, killed crazy, so very manly of you. And how, here, this part here, I'd imagine some people were, thought was controversial or whatever. You are the soldier who won't get much older. You are the slow Joe who signed up to go. And so yeah, I heard that and I was like, oh shit. Talking about, and I was, at the start I said I didn't want to swear too much, but I've already swore a couple times. How, just you kill people. You're so crazy. You're, how manly of you. This whole thing, which I just, these lyrics are great. And then the last part here, obviously, which when he said, wolf down, T-bone steak. And when he said T-bone steak, I was like, oh, here we go. I think I said during the thing, during the reaction, wolf down, cancer of the prostate. And again, yeah, it's been, what's it called? Freaking, scientific research has been done, the cancer of the prostate, red meat, it's not always the best for you. And, for, as somebody who was a vegetarian myself, again, that's one thing that, people always talk about Morrissey, and people talk about, even, a lot of people hate him for his, his veganism, his, animal rights, I don't know, not just animal rights, because a lot of people want animals to have rights, but they still eat meat, which is kind of weird. But a lot of people describe themselves as animal lovers, and they eat meat, and it's just, and I mean, I don't like saying, this stuff out loud, again, because, people will say, oh, I love animals, and it's just like, but I still, but you still eat, meat, whatever. Because I don't want to start anything, but I'll say it, in a reaction, I guess. So it's just like, and Morrissey's kind of saying the same kind of thing. Because then he goes on to say, I'd never kill or eat an animal. And then how he says, and I would never destroy this planet I'm on. Well, what do you think I am? A man? And it's just, it's just so kind of, just so quick-witted. I just love, how he's talking about, just talking down to what a man is and what men who call themselves men, you're like, I'm a fucking man, whatever. That just came out. Anyway, but that whole thing of like, I'm a man, and it's just like, well, who, okay, like whatever, I don't care what you do. It's just like, but yeah, for me too, it's just like if somebody says you're not a man, because people have said that to me before. It's just like, am I supposed to be angry? Am I supposed to be mad? I don't really care what the hell you call me. So anyway, yeah, so all this just comes to mind when he's talking about this. And again, getting back to the whole thing, wolf down, T-bone steak, cancer of the prostate. And again, I've been a vegetarian for 5 years now, but it wasn't because of Morrissey. I didn't know who Morrissey was. Mostly because of Joaquin Phoenix, if I want to be honest with you. Anyway, and also because I like animals and I didn't want to eat them anymore. So me and my sister, we said, let's stop. So yeah, so then that's just one thing I love about Morrissey. This, I could have explained this, I guess, in like 30 seconds, but it's gone on for a while now. So I just love Morrissey's, his thoughts on, animals and such, obviously. And, then he goes on, ways to sit, of course, and ways to stand. I'm not a man. There's a certain way to sit, there's a certain way that you got to stand to be a man. All this kind of, again, this BS. And, then he says, no big fat locker room, hockey jock laughing. I'm not a man. And I like that, because hockey, I mean, for, Morrissey being from Britain and everything, I would suspect that he would talk about like, football or soccer as other people call it here, in America. But how he said hockey, and as somebody who, who lives in Canada, where hockey's, kind of our sport, I was kind of surprised where he talked about hockey. So I do enjoy hockey, but again, I would not fit in, with a, a hockey locker room or whatever. I'd be like, good Lord. That's not, that wouldn't be my scene, Again, that whole thing, hockey jocks is just like, my goodness. But I love to watch the sport anyway. And also, I guess, I am on Genius. Is there I didn't even look if there was an about or anything, because again, I was just went right into the lyrics, because again, I just love this song. This has to be one of my favorite Morrissey songs. And, for 2022 Morrissey songs I've listened to, The big song that comes to mind is The Operation, which, because I love Spencer Cobbard's drumming on that. But this one here, I'm Not a Man, that might be, I don't know if I like this one more or not, but those are my two favorite Morrissey songs I've heard in 2022, I have to say right now. Anyway, that I've reacted to. So yeah, I am on Song Facts. So, just to give a, quick rundown, the song finds Morrissey setting his sights on masculinity, equating men with soldiers, hockey jocks, and meat eaters. This whole thing, you gotta eat meat, you gotta, fight for your country, whatever, you gotta be, a jock. Some things that, people think that men have to do, whatever. And especially, going to, being a soldier. I mean, you can talk about being a soldier back in, when, Nazi Germany was going and stuff, but nowadays, we're still fighting, whatever. But, some people want to go, but I'm a person who doesn't really want to, go to war, be a soldier. I don't really want to, have the chance of dying. I'd rather just kind of stay in my house, and do something else. So yeah, that that comes to mind as well. Anyway, so it says producer Joe, I want to say, I've said his name before, but Ciccarelli, I think it is, something like that, Ciccarelli, whatever. He said before to radio.com, he said, my personal opinion is there are a lot of stupid things that we do in the name of manhood. I have to tell you, I remember we cut this track and hearing those words for the first time, I almost cried. I thought no one has ever said this in such a bold way. I was blown away by the song. So that's another, how he says there, how Joe says, Morrissey's just so bold. And that's what it is. He has, say what you want about the man, but he has balls. He never minces his words. I mean, I think I said this last week as well, probably the week before that as well. He doesn't mince his words. He says what he wants, and he doesn't, don't get it twisted. I mean, my God. He says Morrissey wanted the rhythms to sound thuggish, so basically have bold rhythms as well. He also said, I thought we have. He said we have to burst out of this groove at some point and have some release. All those intro pieces, all those sound effects pieces, those were all his design. I suggested that we trim down the amount of time in the intro before I'm Not a Man, but he said, no, it's fine. So, Morrissey's, I guess what Morrissey says goes, on his track. So, yeah, this reaction's already long enough, but the song was long too. But, just, to put it all up, wrap it with a bow, as somebody who kind of shares the same view of, manlyhood or being a man, all this stuff, I just love what Morrissey's saying here. I love his boldness. I love his, I don't give a shit kind of attitude. Talking about, cancer and, eating meat and all this stuff. And again, as somebody who just who is, a quiet vegetarian who doesn't, if somebody says, are you a vegetarian? Whatever. Yeah, I am, but I'm not going to get in a fight or argument. I don't have the time. But, listening to this, I love hearing Morrissey go at this topic and talking about being a man just all over. I just love this, and again, it's one of my favorite Morrissey tracks I've heard, and just more freaking fuel to the fire that World Peace is None of Your Business is a great album, a great recent Morrissey album that I really have to get more into. So yeah, and listen to more of, because yeah, I've enjoyed what I've heard so far for the couple tracks I've heard, and it's no wonder that it did well on the charts both in the UK and in the States. So anyway, all that said, really enjoyed the track. It's just great. Loved everything about it. Loved the clear vocals and the drum beats, and like I said, the soft kind of guitar and such underneath his voice during the when he was just saying the words about manliness or whatever, about being a man. So anyway, all that said, this is one of my more longer Morrissey reactions recently. So anyway, I'm going to wrap her up now. So thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting, all this stuff. Really appreciate all the support. And I hope you guys like this track as much as I do, because it was Morrissey, on his bullshit, as people like to say, on his, he was at his peak here, and he knew what he was talking about, and he was ready to go. So anyway, thanks again for watching. I'll talk to you guys again soon.